Hi, I'm Wesley Lawton, the therapist at Growing Forward Counseling. I'm based in Mount Clemens, Michigan, where I see people in my office or in a park if you prefer, or I can see anybody online via telehealth anywhere in the state of Michigan. I specialize in trauma as well as grief, mindfulness. I see folks for a pretty wide slew of many mental health related issues. And today I want to talk about something grief related. I want to talk about something specific in grief that many people feel. Not everybody knows how to articulate, not everybody understands or feels comfortable talking about with people in their lives. Uh, and so I want to share a really personal story. Several years ago, my wife and I had a miscarriage. And so obviously that was a significant loss for us. And one of the big things that came up for us was we were afraid that the people in our lives would forget about this pregnancy, about this baby, and in our own minds it was a baby who was a part of our family, but also obviously not born. We didn't get to know this baby or this person, um, and so it was a loss of sort of an imagined future, an imagined relationship or connection. And again, that relationship had sort of started to form already in a similar way to when somebody dies, we do maintain a connection with them after they have died. In some ways, there is sort of an ongoing relationship there, even though it looks very different from a relationship with a living person. I think in a similar vein, we had a little bit of a relationship with this baby who had not yet been born, even though it looks very different from any of our kids who have been born. So uh, the issue was that we were afraid people would forget. In fact, we were afraid that we would forget. We were afraid that this baby would sort of slip our minds and that we would go through life just thinking about we have three kids who are living, who were born, and we would go through our life really just thinking of them and completely forgetting about this baby. And I've heard of this being the case with loved ones who have died, who you have known. You know, maybe they were older than you even, but you got to know them and they died, and maybe it's been a number of weeks or months or years for you, but you might start thinking and wondering like, oh man, I actually haven't had them on my mind recently. What if nobody has them on their mind? What if they're forgotten? This can be a very real concern. I don't think any of us likes the idea of being forgotten by our loved ones after we die. And so it can feel dishonoring or disrespectful to that person and our memory of them and our relationship with them in life. So I want to talk about this idea of forgetting and what to do about it. Okay. So the first thing is that there's not that much you can really do to make sure that other people in your life remember the one who died. There are some things you can do, but at the end of the day, that's in their control. That's not up to you, excuse me. And that's a difficult thing to accept. But like any belief or behavior of other people, ultimately it comes down to them and their actions and their willingness. And so, again, there are some things that you can do to encourage others to remember, but there's no way to be sure that that's going to happen. And really focusing on you remembering your loved one who died is going to be a lot more rewarding, a lot more successful than really making sure that other people in your life remember them. Now, maybe it's a little bit ironic, but one of the most effective ways to make sure that others in your life remember them is you yourself actively remembering them and doing things to remember them, to bring them into your life. That's going to be one of the most effective ways, anyway, of making sure that the people around you remember your loved ones. So, again, really focusing on your control, your actions, and thoughts and rituals and the kinds of things that I'm going to talk about a little bit in this video, uh, that's going to be the most effective for the person being remembered by you and by others, even though at the end of the day, they still may not think about or actively remember that person and could indeed forget about them in 99+% of their life. So this video is focused on the things that you can do. Uh, Now, one more thing actually on other people. You may feel like they already have forgotten them or are forgetting them in any meaningful way, because they don't talk about them around you. It's almost like they avoid the subject. And in some cases, they might be avoiding it because it makes them uncomfortable. It might be because they have other things that they're focused on. But it also might be because they don't want to upset you, because they love you and they don't like to see you hurting. And if you're going to cry or have some kind of an outburst of grief, they don't want to be the one who caused it. I have found in my work with grieving people that most of us want to talk about and remember the one who died in an outward way. We want to express that, even if it means that we feel sad or other unpleasant feelings, um, guilt or anger or whatever else might be there as a part of that grief. Uh, most of us want to bring that person into our life and into the conversation. And so hopefully you can sympathize with those who don't do so because they care about you and they don't want to see you hurting. They don't want to feel like they're the cause of you hurting. Those intentions are well-meaning. And so what you can do is you can directly address it. You can say, hey, I don't know if this is what's going on, but I want you to know that I'm already grieving. I'm already missing this person. I already cry about this sometimes, or whatever it might look like for you. And it would actually be really helpful for you to bring this up. And yeah, I might bring a tear to my eye. I might sort of feel a little emotionally upset at times. Just know that that's not toward you. That's not because of you. It's because I love this person. And I'm generally just going to appreciate you bringing them up. And that way I feel like they're not forgotten. That way I feel like I'm not the only one who's grieving or who's remembering them. So you can have a direct conversation about that. You can also take the first step. You can be the one to talk about them. You can be the one to bring them up. And maybe you share a story that you thought about regarding that person who died. Maybe you think about, oh, what would so and so think about this particular situation? I think I know what they would say. And again, to bring them into the moment in that way. And that may give permission to the people around you to feel comfortable doing the same. Now, there's no guarantees that that's going to work out. I've talked with people who do this actively, and they find that the people in their lives genuinely seem to just kind of get tired of it. They seem to uh, find that it's an unpleasant or a negative topic for them, and they'd rather focus on something that makes them feel good or something that is tangible for them or whatever. Or maybe they just didn't have that same connection with the person who died that you do. And so sometimes we have to be honest about the fact that the people in our lives grow tired of us talking about our loved one who died, talking about our grief. Again, I want to put forth that that may not be the case for you. You might be assuming that that's the case, that they're tired of it or that they don't want to talk about it, when in reality, that maybe they do just as much as you. But in some cases, that actually is the truth. So it's hard to say. And I think that the name of the game is not assuming what it is until you talk about it directly or until you get some experience with it and give it a try as far as bringing them up or talking about your loved one with the people around you. Okay, so let's see. Another thing that you can do is, in addition to talking about your loved one, you can talk to your loved one. Now, this is something that you may or may not choose to do in the presence of others, but um, I have found that the majority of people who are grieving talk to their loved one who has died. And most of those people seem to feel like they're crazy or they're strange for doing so, when in reality, I have observed that they're the majority. So if you're already doing that, there's nothing wrong with you. And that can be a really healthy coping strategy with your grief that can help you maintain a healthy connection with your loved one who died. And there's no harm in it. If you're not doing that, if you've never thought of doing that, if you feel like that would make you a crazy person, I would say give it a try if you think that there's a chance it could be helpful. And maybe it'll feel a little uncomfortable at first. Maybe you want to give it a trial run. You do it for a week or two or something like that. Uh, you can have some sort of an object or certainly a picture that can be very helpful. You can talk to their picture if that's in a special place in your living room or perhaps your bedroom. Uh, and you can talk to the person that way, or if there's again some kind of an object that's displayed that reminds you of them, or you go to their burial site if that's the case for you, or maybe you just do it without any of those kinds of tangible connections. But those are some suggestions for ways to uh, talk to that person. Because I mean, if you're talking to them on a regular basis, you're not forgetting them. You don't have to worry about that. You may find over time that you feel less of an urge or a need to talk to them. And that might be a healthy part of your grief. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're forgetting them. You're not doing anything wrong if that's the case. Maybe you do it every day for the rest of your own life. There's no one right way. as is often said when it comes to grief, there's no blueprint. Um, there are a couple things that are generally harmful, like avoiding your grief, ignoring it for a long period of time. But there's a lot of right ways to do it. Uh, so I mentioned photos and other kinds of mementos. You can also bring songs into your life. Listen to the songs that they loved or that you shared together, or if there's a certain place that makes you think of them or have memories with them. Or you can participate in things that mattered to them. Maybe they had a group of work friends who they would always hang out with. Maybe you want to stay in touch with those people when normally you would drift away from them. Or maybe with your in-laws, maybe that's what it looks like for you. Or maybe there's a cause that they really cared about, something that they were passionate about, they would talk about, maybe they would volunteer, maybe they would donate money. You can continue those kinds of, you participate in those causes or those volunteer opportunities as a very meaningful way to honor their memory and keep them in your life. Uh, that might not be for everybody, but that's one more very effective way to make sure that they're never forgotten, at least as long as you live. And that's where your control extends to. And then the last idea that I had is maybe around special times of year in particular, you do things to remember them. I think about, again, with that miscarriage that we had, around Christmas every year, we have some ornaments that we hang up. And every time I know that my wife and I are thinking pretty intentionally about the baby who died, and really remembering them, and really expressing some ongoing grief with that in a way that's healthy. And we have some things that are up year round on our shelves as well. Just one or two subtle little things that most people wouldn't necessarily have might not stand out to them, but we know what it's for. And once in a while, our eyes will be drawn to it, and we'll think of that baby who died, as well as what would have been the baby's due date. Um, we have a family ritual of going to buy flowers because it's in the springtime. It's coming up actually pretty soon right now, and we go to buy flowers to hang outside of our home, and that's a really helpful way for us to remember that baby every single year. And so maybe for you, it's a birthday or an anniversary, or perhaps for some people, the day of the death. I found that for some people, that's a really meaningful and positive day. For many people, they find that helps them that makes them remember some of the unpleasant times of the times leading up to their death, and then their actual death, and the grief that ensued. And so I would say that for many people, the day of death might not be the best day to put a lot of effort into remembering them and having all these kinds of rituals. That might be a day of self-care. That might be a day of getting together with people who you love and trust, and just trying to make it through and be okay. Maybe you do something small to honor their memory, but I've found that it's a lot of times most effective to focus on other types of days, like again, a birthday or an anniversary, or certainly holidays that were meaningful to them. But anyway, if you have these annual or biannual or several, I guess it'd be semi-annual. It doesn't really matter, but maybe you have several times of year. But if you have those built into the calendar, again, that can be a way to help you um, rest assured that you will never forget them. And again, that will be an example to the people in your life. Maybe you talk about them. Maybe you do a social media post every year on that day or something, and that can help others to remember them too. So hopefully you found some of these strategies to be helpful. And in addition to making sure that that person is remembered, a lot of these are just positive, healthy coping strategies with your grief. They're ways to help you express your grief in healthy ways. So there's all kinds of benefits to doing these types of activities and rituals. So yeah, I look forward to making some more videos in the near future here. I've got several topics more. Let's see, looks like I've got 3 written down, and I'm sure I'll have more come to mind in the meantime. So again, my name's Wesley. You can view my work at gfcounseling.com. Again, my clinic is Growing Forward Counseling, my private practice. You can also email me at wes, at gfcounseling.com, and get in touch with me that way if you want to talk more about healthy grief strategies. If you're interested in therapy, it's very normal to need some professional help to navigate grief. It can be a very difficult thing to do. And I'm somebody, and other therapists are oftentimes somebody who understands better than most, and who has an idea of what healthy grief can look like, and might be able to give you some suggestions, as well as just be a safe place for you to process your grief. Maybe it's a support group for you. There are all kinds of resources available. But if I'm the one who you'd like to get in touch with, that's a good way to reach me. Okay, I hope you have a good day. Thanks for checking out this video. Feel free to share it with anybody who you think might benefit from it too. Thank you.